evening. Welcome to Talk Football. My name is Tinashe. You can find me on Twitter at TalkFootballT. And you can also find me, the main page on Twitter at TalkFooty with an extra Y. That's TalkFooty, FOOTYY. And I am joined by my co hosts, starting with the oldest, Shihab. If you can introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, hi. I'm Shab, so Shiab. You can find me on Twitter at TalkFootballSH1. That's TalkFootballSH1. So yeah, please give us all a follow.
And my second co host, Nabi. If you can introduce yourself, please.
Hi, Adam Nabi here. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at TalkFootballN. So, and if you want quantity over quality, then follow me instead of the other two. Thank you.
I'm not sure about quality.
Follow us all is what it should be. Follow
Yeah.
us all.
So just to give you a brief overview, this podcast will mainly sort of be focused on the top six, though mainly will be the three teams: Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United, and the top six, and we'll occasionally dip into the rest of the league as well. Obviously with breaking news and everything else that's sort of going on within the league, and there's plenty going on at the moment, especially with the season, well, the off season. Sorry, we've got a lot of transfers going on, a lot of transfer rumors, a lot to talk about. So I guess just to ask the guys, do you know if there's anything that I've missed? I think that's pretty much it. Oh, actually,
No, yeah.
also there will be a section on fantasy football. So for those who are into fantasy football, yeah, there will also be a section where it won't be me giving you advice, because if I give you advice, you will probably finish in the top in the bottom five of your league, as I did in my leagues. I think the Adam in the other one that we have, I'm pretty sure I finished bottom, didn't I? I could be mistaken.
Well, low enough to be considered the bottom, basically. So low
Yes.
that you
So
could stop looking.
you won't be taking advice from me. But it will probably be Shihab and Adam giving most of the advice on that. But with today's show, it's largely pretty much going to be focused on the game ahead between Liverpool and Arsenal, the Community Shield, which I guess marks the start of the season. Um, yeah, and also just to say myself, you to be honest, you will see if you go at Talk Football T, you will see my header there. I am a huge Arsenal fan, and then you've also got Shihab, who is Liverpool, and you've got Nabi Adam, who is Manchester United. So you've got the three biggest clubs in England represented here, which I suppose if you're a supporter of the clubs, it bodes well for you. Plenty of good content for you on here. Um, but yeah, like I said, this show will mainly be coming in talking about the community shield that's going to be happening this weekend. So I guess just sort of starting up with that, do you guys have any sort of initial inklings, feelings? Adam, I suppose we'll probably start with you since you're a neutral fan.
Oh, yeah. First, I want to clarify that I said quality over quantity because I can't remember now which way round I said it, but that's the one I meant.
I think you did say
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Community Shield. I guess it's strange now the way things are. It's going to be more of a pre-season game than normal, because usually it is it'd be the mark of the start of the season, but now it's just going to be a part of the pre-season. So it's not going to be the same in that sense. But I guess with the Shield up for grabs, it'll be interesting to see how both teams go for it. And I think Arsenal are technically the home team. So, Tanasha, what do you think Arsenal's chances are on Saturday?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. The home team, yeah, you're right. Wembley is our home, isn't it? But in that sense, actually, to be fair, we've got a decent chance. But then also with saying that, I think Liverpool, they've had quite a bit more of a preseason than we have. I think they've already got sort of two games under their belts. Whereas Arsenal, we played yesterday. We played against MK Dons. Emphatic win 4-1. Again, personally, I don't really like to take much from friendlies, because it's one of those, if you win, oh, it does well for the confidence, etc., etc. But if you lose, oh, it's just a friendly, you know. But for me, the main thing I guess I'll be looking for the players is just getting back to match fitness, and I'm not 100% confident. I think we'll do okay, but I don't know if we'll do enough to win the game. As I personally, I think a lot of our players are probably still on holiday because David Luiz wasn't even in the squad. Yesterday, Aubameyang came. He's been back from holiday for less than a week. Lacazette wasn't even in the squad. I don't think Pepe was in the squad either. We had a lot of youth.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So how close to the first team do you think it'll be?
Yeah, I'm not sure. If yesterday was an indication, I would probably the only sort of first teamers really was Saka, Oba, Tierney, and Shaka and Xhaka. Sorry, well, Leno as well. Actually, he's the first team player. But yeah, that's what 4 players or 5 players. Sorry. Yeah, so I guess about half really. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, you can never be with the game, but just sort of looking at how Liverpool, the machine that Liverpool currently is, if
Yeah,
they field their first team, I think it will definitely be a tough one for us. But I think it also depends on Liverpool's lineup, how they will do, and what team they put up. But I think in terms of the Arsenal camp, I'm feeling fairly confident. I'm more looking forward to just sort of seeing how Saliba will do against sort of the best strikers, attackers in the league. Salah, Mane. I'm not so sure on Firmino as that, but Salah and Mane for sure.
who'll show up? How many do you think they'll win by?
Oh, I I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Well, question for Shihab.
To be honest, I can't take too much from what we've done in the preseason so far. What I would say is, in comparison to Arsenal, our first team's back. We're near enough being able to put our strongest team out, except for Trent and Thiago, obviously. So we've near enough got our strongest team out playing. The Salzburg game kind of makes you wonder where we're really at. It probably reduces confidence levels, if anything. But it's a preseason game. They looked a bit lack of energy. They've had a lot of like double training sessions and stuff like that. So I'm not taking too much from it there. But yeah, I expect to win. I would probably
So who do you think?
say quite.
Who do you think will want it more? Will Klopp want to add this to his collection?
I think the Klopp's a kind of manager who, whenever he's in a cup competition, he will always do what he can to win it. He has that mentality. I think all our players are built with that mentality of go for everything, take each game at a time, and just try and win everything you can. I don't think there'll be players in there such as Henderson and Milner who won't allow players to get lazy. To be
Sorry to jump in, Shabs. You keep on clicking your pen.
sorry.
Sorry. On you go. Sorry.
Is it really that loud?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think there'll be certain players in that squad who won't allow any complacency within our team. So yeah, and Klopp's not that type of manager who will allow his team to just rest on it. I think from the
I
games
mean,
after
for
lockdown where
that
we
point. Sorry to interrupt. On that
yeah
point, though, we can point back to just on that just sort of picking out what you just said about Klopp not allowing the team to rest in the morals, etc., etc. I mean, if you look back at the game against Arsenal at the Emirates, that's exactly what the team did. Especially after you guys won the league, you literally started taking every game for granted after that, and you started
You're
resting on
not
your
quite
morals
picking
after.
up all you're saying, Tanisha.
I
Oh,
got the
sorry.
gist of it. What I would say is in terms of complacency against Arsenal, which is what I think you're talking about.
No, not even just against Arsenal.
Um,
Just in terms of after you won the league, you pretty much your performance dropped. Your performance is dropped after that.
I would, yeah, that is a fair enough point. But what I would say is performances dropped a little bit, but I would say it's more in moments. So, like, I think Arsenal game was a good example where for a lot of the game, we were pretty much at our best, like, not any many problems. And then there were moments and lapse of concentration and stuff you don't expect during the normal parts of the season, where because it's already won, maybe that has caused the lapse of concentration. But otherwise, I was pretty happy with our performances in the games after the title had been won, to be honest.
So
I don't think there was huge amounts.
would you say the Chelsea game is an example that they can pick it up when needed, albeit they did concede 3?
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, yeah, it was a pretty entertaining game, that one, and we did concede 3. Um, but I thought it was a pretty good performance. It was quite a good game. Even the people might disagree with me on this one, but even the City loss, which was a big loss, we had our chances and they were just better at taking theirs. And the lapse of concentration in that game probably, and the complacency, probably led to that 4-0 scoreline. But I don't think it was a performance of a 4-0 scoreline.
I could come
So I'm
in.
not too worried about that.
I will come in and even counter that with what Adam was saying about the Chelsea game. I think you got away with it that game, personally, because of how poor Chelsea's defense is. I think if you were playing a team with a better defense, you potentially could have had another City result because defensively you guys weren't great, and again,
So, like, Arsenal's defense, right?
but we still beat you. Then I guess. So again, coming back to the same point, like with Arsenal's defense is pretty much. It's actually better than Chelsea's when you're looking at goals conceded, because I think overall, in terms of the whole season, Chelsea have conceded more goals than us. But I'm just meaning, just in general, obviously with how poor their defense was, that allowed you to get the 4 goals essentially. However, like I said, if it was a better team, I don't think it would have been as easy for you as it was against Chelsea.
Yeah, to be fair, some of the goals were really good.
I was going to just ask Tanash, do you think Arsenal need Liverpool to be complacent to win, or do you think they can beat Liverpool, who are up for it, if they were?
That's a good question. I think it okay. I'm gonna be 100% honest with myself. At the moment, a fully firing up for it Liverpool team, I don't think we can beat them. Because for me, it more comes down to quality. I don't know if you guys saw the interview after the Liverpool game with Arteta, when he essentially was saying, in terms of the drive and the desire, we can now match the big teams. Whereas before that was lacking. You could even pointing back to the 4-0 drubbing we had at Liverpool at Anfield a few years ago. You can see players walking around. There wasn't that hunger, that desire, that fight. But then he also made the point that now what we need is the quality, which we don't have at the moment, which Liverpool have in abundance in their first team. They have far better quality than Arsenal have currently. But I guess the way I'm looking at it, and a lot of Arsenal fans are looking at it, I think, is we're kind of sort of looking to model ourselves in that sort of Liverpool form. The way that they sort of kind of came up to challenging for the title, winning the Champions League, and then winning the Premier League. But yeah, in short, answering your question, I don't a full firing, motivated Liverpool team. I don't think, even if we turn up, I don't think we can beat them. We'll lose respectively, but I don't think we can beat them. If we were to beat them, I do think it would be like pretty much like what happened when we played them at the Emirates. We need a lot of things to go our way in terms of mistakes or even referee calls and stuff like that.
Wondering, when you said the drubbing, which one were you on about? 'Cause there has been quite a few.
Right, let's move
Yeah,
on.
there's been
Let's
a
move
few.
on. Let's move on.
Well,
Okay.
all right. So, Shihab, how disappointed would you be if Liverpool showed any complacency and let Arsenal nick it?
Point, because a trophy, no matter how much we don't really recognise this trophy, it'll still be disappointing to watch another team lift a trophy that we could have lifted. Just because we're in that mentality of win everything. We've gone from Champions League, Club World Cup, Premier League, Super Cup as well. You kind of want to win every trophy you're in. So it will be very disappointing to lose. I don't think it
Klopp's
gives
only
much
got 3
indication
to
to the
tick off.
season, though.
Yeah, I think it's just because Klopp's only got the
To be
3 to
fair,
tick
what
off, isn't he?
I would say really he only has the FA Cup to tick off, really, for him to really be enough. I think our main focus again has to be to double up on the Premier League and go a bit further on the Champions League. But I don't think this game has any effect on how we're going to start the season. So I'm not worried in that sense. Like, I'm not gonna, if we lose the game, I'm not worried for Liverpool at the beginning of the season. But I will be disappointed for the one-off match and not
I will
getting the
make the
trophy.
point as well.
So.
Same for Arsenal. I think if we were to lose the game, I think a lot of people are expecting us to lose the game. I wouldn't be thinking, oh snap, we're performing poorly. I wouldn't be worried for the start of the season. Essentially, that's the way I'm looking at it. Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that. So just to, from my part, just fling one to you, Shihab. What's your predicted starting 11?
I think it'll be the same starting 11 as the Salzburg game. So it'll be Becker in goal, obviously, number one keeper. You'll have Van Dijk and Gomez in defence. Robertson at left back, even though the new signing Shimikas, I hope I said it right. He's looked decent in preseason, but you got to start Robertson, I think. And then with Trent out injured slightly, and he hasn't been in the preseason trip to Austria, I think Nico comes in at right back, unless Klopp does something fancy and goes like a James Milner or something like that. I can't see anything past the Nico. Midfield will be Naby, Keita, Gini Wijnaldum, and Fabinho. Yeah, I'm sure you'd love to play for Liverpool. And then the front three is the front three. Ryan Brewster's done his bit in pre-season, scored a couple of goals in the last game against Salzburg.
We'll get onto him later on. We've got a few of them.
But yeah, it'll be the front three as normal. So yeah, I think apart from Trent, and a bit tinkering in the midfield, it would just be same as always. I think it'll be the strongest team we can put out.
Cool.
I'm sure with Arsenal, with half them being fit, half them in pre-season, half them on holiday, it's going to be massively mixed.
Yeah.
Is that 3 halves you put in there?
Sorry?
I think, is that 3 halves you put in there?
Oh, we're not going into the maths of this, are we? The thirds.
I think it will essentially be. I don't expect it to be too different from what was fielded against MK Dons, which was Leno in goal, Cedric Suarez, sorry, Saliba holding, Kieran Tierney, and then El Neni Xhaka. Sorry, I keep on pronouncing it wrong. El Neni Xhaka. And then we had Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Saka, Aubameyang, and then Edin Ketia up top. Personally, I would like to see it as a 4-2-3-1 because I do kind of feel that that's what Arteta would want to revert to, because that was the first formation that he went to when he took over as Arsenal manager. So I would like to see it as that.
Are you going Leno over Martinez for the season?
No, for me, I will put Leno in and then let my only for the Community Shield. But in terms of the season, no, Leno definitely has to win his spot back because I'm not a big fan of just you were number one, you were injured. Because the thing is, it's not like Martinez has been doing okay or we're unsure. He's been, for me, arguably the best goalkeeper since we came back from lockdown. And yeah, you kind of have to give him the opportunity to fight to keep that spot. And so yeah, I would say start with Martinez and then let Leno fight back for his opportunity.
Is Martinez back, or
from his
is he back in the squad yet?
No, he wasn't. Yesterday it was Matt Macy that played and Bernd Leno.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of his holidays, actually, I'm not sure. I've been still checking his socials. I'm not actually sure if he's back yet from his holidays. So we could potentially see Leno.
You expecting Maitland-Niles to play? What with his speculation?
Potentially, because the rumor is just to touch on it a little bit, because I wanted to dive into it a little bit later when we were talking to the transfers, but I think the Wolves bid was rejected, so there's no reason for him not to play. Yeah.
Yeah, fair. It just comes down to mentality of the player, doesn't it? And
Yeah,
if
because that's
Arteta
the thing for
thinks he
him.
can start him.
It'll keep him going over, keep him ticking over in terms of fitness for the season as well. And if you
But
can do for
would you think that he would only play because there's a shield on the line? If it was just another preseason game, he wouldn't want to risk getting injured.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But with the shield on the line, it's still really pre-season for me,
yeah,
to be honest.
yeah, I was just about to touch on that, but yeah,
Seems like you're kind of making yourself feel better for a loss.
No, it's just that, like you said at the beginning, there's still another 2 weeks to the start of the season, and we
yeah,
still
so
have
it's
some
still
pre-season
plenty of
games as well.
times, yeah,
Because
plenty.
normally it would be a curtain raiser, where it's the last game before the Premier League starts. But on this occasion, it's not. So it will still feel like a pre-season. We're only 2 weeks into, like even Liverpool's only 2 weeks in, and we're one of the earliest teams back. Arsenal's not even all back yet. So, and based on that lineup that Tanasi is thinking, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a stroll for us. So,
Well, let's go for predictions. I'll start. I think I'm going to go high scoring. I'm going to go 3-2 Liverpool. What
It
about you,
usually is a
Tinashe?
high scoring game, isn't it? Between to be fair, in recent years it has always
normally it
favored.
is, yeah,
It
it
always
has
has
been,
favored
yeah.
Liverpool, but it usually is high scoring. I'll go last. Shabs, what are you going for?
Oh, I'm going for a 3-1 Liverpool.
You know what? I'm gonna throw a spanner in the works. I'm gonna go 3-2 Arsenal. Come
Is
on,
that
you
really a spanner
Gunners!
as an Arsenal fan?
No, no.
Yeah.
No, but in terms of like being realistic, if I was to sort of screw my sensible head on, yeah, I probably wouldn't sort of go for that. But again, it all comes down to what teams are fielded. Anyway, so sort of moving on into the transfers that we.
Well,
We've,
last
oh, sorry.
question. No, last question on this. On just for you, Tinashe. Last question. If Arsenal win, do you think Aubameyang will drop the shield?
I hope he does. I hope he does. It will definitely be better than the Hendo shuffle. So I hope he does. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if
Aubameyang
many
drop.
people
Yeah.
agree with that because
That's the thing. You know, he's staying at Arsenal, so he's gonna get used to it. You know, he's gonna get used to picking up trophies. Yeah, going forward now. So
And dropping them.
yeah, but the more he picks up, the less he'll drop because he'll get used to it. He'll get used to it.
I'm
Um,
not sure how much he'll get used to it. But yeah, that's
don't
a
you
topic
worry.
for another
If I
day.
used, if he keeps going back to the trophy room and going back to the old trophy, then maybe. Yeah.
He probably keeps picking up the FA
Well,
Cup and dropping that one.
if we're talking about trophies, we can, getting sidetracked a little bit here, but we got one from this season. We're not even talking about the old one. It's you that could potentially, if you're looking at old ones, but in terms of Arsenal, we've got one.
Well,
What?
we're not looking at any old ones. We're looking at a brand new Premier League title.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Moving on to transfers. So I wanted to start with United. There's a whole heap of stuff going on with United at the moment, Adam. But just a quick one. Before we came on, I just saw that Dean Henderson has signed a new 6-year contract. It's United 120k a week. And what are your thoughts on that? Because for me, essentially, Can you explain a little bit? Because I'm not too sure in terms of the goalkeeping situation. Because obviously, you've got Dean Henderson who's just signed the 6 mega deal, 6 years, and you've also got David De Gea. And I'm assuming Dean Henderson is not signing a new contract to be second fiddle to David De Gea, and I don't see David De Gea playing number 2 either. So what? Yeah,
Well, I
can you
think
give
it's
us
the
a little bit
same
of background?
questions for the United fan because it's the same questions. Who will be number one? Because for some reason, Ole seems very reluctant to drop David. So now that he's given Henderson the contract, they both want to be number one. He's got the decision to make. But
What about your current
on past form, he's
second?
been very reluctant to drop David, whatever he's done.
Why do you think it's a lack of competition?
So I think
Why?
one of them will leave. I can't see them all staying. So I think another team is gonna.
Right,
I've got a
right.
question for you. Do you think Ollie has
To see
brought
who gets
Dean back
picked and who
in?
gets dropped.
Do you think Ollie has brought Henderson back in just to push David De Gea back to the level he thinks David De Gea is at, and that number one world class keeper? rather than actually thinking Henderson can take his
Before
spot.
you answer that, Nabi, just to latch on to the your current your current number two, I would potentially say one of the best number twos in the league, if not the best number two in the league. To be honest, the
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
so in terms of competition, I'm not sure. Like I get what you're saying, Shia, but David De Gea, I guess it probably comes back to what Nabi's saying more about Ole than the competition, because if he's reluctant to give the other keepers a chance, what chance does Dean Henderson have?
But I'm just trying to think like PE teacher Ollie, aren't I? Because if you think about it, based on what you're saying, David De Gea should really be out of the team.
I think
So,
personally, I think they should sell him.
Ooh. How much
so
did
Dean
United buy him
Henderson
for?
coming in for it.
Wasn't that much. It must have been the 20s, 30s.
Oh, right, okay, cool. So, and that's
It's a lot for a keeper, though. To be fair,
well, you've got Chelsea, who was it 70 million? That makes the 20
no,
million
but
for
as in at that before Liverpool and Chelsea turned up with the money on keepers, it really was a big deal to spend
yeah,
30 million on a keeper.
fair.
I don't think it was 30. I'm thinking maybe late teens is what I'm thinking. I can't remember exactly,
But
but late
do
teens.
you really think Ollie will give Dean Henderson the chance, or do you think he's got it as some sort of like mentality thing to get David De Gea back to his best?
It's a good question. I mean, I think ideally he wants Dean to become the number one, but I think David is the problem. If he's there, he's going to have to keep him happy with him being on the big wage. He was the super team, so he's going to have to find a way of making them both happy, which is going to be really, really tricky. And Romero is going to miss out in a way, but I think he'll make a great number one for someone else. And I'm only saying that because I don't think they'll get rid of De Gea, even though I think they should. So, and he's not going to be a number three, which is why I think he'll go. But if you
Do you
think
think Dean Henderson
first game
should
of
be
the
number
season,
one and Romero number two?
yes, ideally, yes.
Hey, I'm even thinking as
Interesting.
well, even in terms of like what other teams can, like big teams need a goalkeeper and can afford David De Gea's wages currently. In terms of the Premier League, Chelsea, but then again, they probably won't want to touch David De Gea with his current form right
We
now.
got Loris Karius. We're happy to sell if Chelsea would like him.
I'm sure. I'm
You
sure
know,
they wouldn't want that either. Right. Okay. So that's interesting. Actually, I think you're the first to hear this United fan I've heard saying that you actually want De Gea to leave, which is fair enough. It makes sense. And would you be expecting, in terms of sell on, would you be expecting more or round about the same in terms of fee? Sorry.
Well, I guess there's two things. What they should get and what they will get. Because United they're very bad at selling their players. Like Chelsea are
Chelsea and Liverpool are good at selling their players. Arsenal is another one that's bad.
selling players. They get very things
So
even
sorry, I
more
kind
than
of
they
jumped
should
in there
because they've been
because
trying to
you
flog
dropped
some of
off.
their players for seasons.
You dropped off a bit, I think. That's why I jumped in there. Sorry. You were saying?
Yeah. Yeah, just saying United are very bad at selling their players. So I think if they were to sell De Gea, they'll be lucky to get 30. It'll probably maybe 20ish. They'll get
Uh,
it from them from somewhere because I think they'll want to
if it's a profit, I guess
20 plus. I think I'll be happy with.
that'll be all right. Okay, cool, fine, fine. And getting into the next United player I want to talk about, well, not United player actually, the next linked United player. What is going on with Jadon Sancho? That is the question, isn't it?
nothing
What is
is the
going on?
answer.
Well, it's a standoff. That's basically it. Dortmund want the money. United don't want to pay the money. Standoff. I don't know how it's going to go. If they're going to give in or not. I
Do you?
mean,
Are you
if they
confident?
were, if they were planning on wait until the last minute and then give in, I don't see the point. If they're going to do that, they should just do that now. Since they haven't done that now, I think they are looking at alternatives to Sancho. They have Kingsley Coleman, Douglas Costa, David Brooks all being linked. I just think they need to decide and just because there's other positions as well they need to buy, but there's nobody else that seems to be linked, which is worrying as well. It
Kingsley
seems to
Coleman,
be
do you
Sancho.
think
There's
he'll
nothing going
come?
on about that.
Because he seems everywhere he goes, he's never not won the league. So if he's coming to United, I'm pretty sure he'll be looking for a guaranteed league there. Currently,
He's
obviously,
not getting it.
yeah. So anyway, sort of bantering aside, apart from, 'cause personally, I don't think Coleman is realistic. Douglas Costa, and he's in his 30s now, isn't he? Very very injury prone. Probably not a great buy either, if I'm honest. So do you have any other alternatives that I guess you would want to you would want United to go for?
Well, alternative to Sancho, probably not. I think if they're gonna get Sancho because I think David Brooks. I think United fans just see as another Dan James. I don't think they'd want that, and I think it has to be Sancho or just use that money to buy for other positions like Chilwell. I really like them to buy Chilwell, but that didn't happen.
Yeah,
Chelsea got Chilwell for a really reasonable price as well,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Frustrated with United right now.
Yeah. No,
just a
no.
bit.
Yeah. To be honest, you're seeing it all online. Or the fans, they're not happy. Obviously, understandably, to be honest, because you're seeing Arsenal, Liverpool, all the other teams are sort of either making movements or are linked with other players, whereas United is just Sancho, and then it was Gabriel for like a hot minute, and then that was it. You know, like that's literally. I can see why they're extremely frustrated, to be honest, because yeah, especially with the rebuilds as well. Not that I'm saying that it's a huge job that you need, but it's one of those that a few plugs you could potentially, be. Yeah, I'm not gonna say challenging for the title because that seems a bit much, to be honest. So for you, it's Sancho, and you said Brooks fans won't really be keen as he'll be seen as another Dan James. I'm trying to think. Would you want a Premier League proven player, or would you be obviously not including Jadon Sancho, or would you be happy looking abroad? Adam, is it still there, or is it dropped off?
A difference like Sancho would.
Sorry.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I think I'd be happy with a player from abroad as long as they think he can make the same impact. I think Sancho would.
What about
Would
the?
it? Would it? Don't you think William would have been something good for United if they like as an option to get while they wait around for Sancho, especially as he was a free. Obviously, Arsenal have him now, but
No, I
I'm
don't
just
think.
thinking
I
like
don't think
as a
William would.
free.
No, as a free though, I think is Götze still available?
From Dortmund. Yeah, but whether they would be willing to sell or not, I'm not actually sure. One I was gonna
Well, I
say,
think they were selling him. I think they were. He's a free agent, isn't he? They said you can go
is
where you
he?
want. His contract is finished. Yeah, that's why I said. Is he still
So
available? Because he was someone that was going
well,
on.
I haven't seen him linked with in terms of going anywhere. To be honest, I suppose that the thing with Götze is injuries. Really, I would say that kind of set him back
Up
a
the
little bit.
World Cup and scored
Yeah.
that goal. It's just not happened, has it?
No, because he was at Bayern at the time, wasn't he? And
He went from Dortmund to Bayern,
yeah,
and it just didn't. It just didn't
Klopp
work out
just
for him.
didn't fancy him. What about the youngster from the Portuguese team, Sporting Lisbon? There's I think some Fernandez. I can't remember his first name. Is a winger. Really really quick. Was also sort of linked with Arsenal. But I don't. I think it's about. But then again, this could be the problem. You want someone who will come in and make an impact immediately.
And
To be
then
honest,
there's the Ajax one. Was it David Neres?
Neres
That's
as well.
that's occasionally
Yeah.
been linked. He's occasionally been linked with United as well. I think there are other options out there for United. It just seems like so like that Gabriel one, like a last minute so called interest from United, and then it still went Arsenal anyway. I just think that just it looks a bit desperate. Like from a neutral looking in, it just looks a bit
Yeah.
desperate, or they don't know what they're doing and stuff like that. It just I don't know. It just looks a bit strange to me. Like they don't go in, get their player, and just get it done. They're like showing little bits of interest here and there, and they're not actually ending up going for a player. I would personally be United frustrated as a United fan if that happened.
And on
Yeah, but it's just, are they? I don't know. They've got is like with Maguire, Bruno, Lukaku, Pogba to an extent dragged on, so it could be another drag on. But I think the fans are getting a bit tired of that. They just want stuff
well,
done.
to be fair, one thing I suppose we should keep in mind when you're making the big money signings like the ones you just mentioned, it is a mega deal. There is a lot of things that need to be sorted out. So in terms of those big ones, I kind of do get why they drag on for so long. But the ones that don't, like what Shabs meant, if you're signing a Neres from Ajax, I don't see that being, like a Pogba deal or the Lukaku one in terms of the hoo ha and the fanfare that comes. Like I assume the fans will be happy, of course, but it won't be as much hype. So in terms of the the point that she have made on the sense that I have to agree with them that it does seem very desperate from United. Do you put that on Ole, or is that above him?
Well, it's above it, but I guess we don't know how real these links are. As all I'll say for those.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Sometimes they're ploys by agents to bring up these teams.
That is fair. Okay, doc. So I guess now swiftly moving on to Liverpool. Before we sort of really go
Yeah.
in, I just wanted to ask. We spoke about Brewster, or you touched on him briefly earlier. Um, just a quick fire answer. Do you want him to go out on loan? Yes or no? Oh, because obviously I saw that Sheffield were linked with him on loan
Yeah,
this
so
season.
Sheffield United seem to be strongly linked, and it looks like Liverpool are possibly interested in doing that deal because they trust Chris Wilder to do a good job for him. In terms of answering it very
You
quickly,
said
if I had to
quick
give a
fire
short
answer.
answer, I would say I would like for him to stay.
You want him to say, but then do you think he'll get minutes, enough minutes to keep him happy? Because obviously, if he's going
And
to
that's where
Sheffield
the
United,
long answer comes in. So
hmm
that's where the long answer comes in. So then, if he's the person just behind Firmino, so when Firmino doesn't play or rotates, or if he's off form, that kind of stuff, and Brewster's the next guy to come in, then happily I would keep him. But if Klopp's going to use him on the rare occasion in a cup game, and a lot of the time end up using like Origi or Minamino, which he has been doing last season, then I'd prefer him to go on loan and play every game for Sheffield United in the Premier League, and get minutes that way. So yeah, it does come down to how Klopp intends to use him. Based on the two preseason games, he's a great finisher. Like
yep,
he
yep,
can score a goal, but he doesn't have the build up and the link up play of Firmino, which he can build on. He's very young,
yep.
so um, yeah, it
So
is definitely a good option for us to have.
with
But
that central striker role, actually speaking about this, so
So
you
since you
current
said that,
on your go, Nappy. Sorry.
I don't know if we're going for the same questions here, but I was going to say, since you want Brewster to stay, does that mean you'd want Origi to go?
Yeah, that's essentially what I was going to ask as well.
wouldn't be displeased if Origi went. He would
What
always be a legend of the
the guy
club.
is a club
He
legend.
would.
What are you talking about?
He is a club legend, but if him leaving allows us to bring through Brewster, like Origi's not really going to get any better for us. Like personally, I don't think he's really going to get much
No, he's
better.
not.
He's
He's
not
not.
going to end up becoming a starter.
Yeah.
So if it means releasing him to start allow other players to develop more and stuff, get more chances and things like that, I personally don't mind. And if it puts more money in the bank to then put into the market for someone that we need in midfield, then go ahead.
No,
It's
that's
Someone,
fair.
do you mean Thiago?
I do mean Thiago, yes.
So what you make it? Because personally, I genuinely think if you are to sign Thiago, that will transform your midfield. What are your thoughts on him?
From what I've seen recently, especially obviously everyone's been watching the Champions League and stuff. He is exactly what we need, and he is such a good player. Where even if we didn't technically desperately need him, which we probably don't desperately need him after winning the Premier League with such ease. He's so good that at that price that Bayern Munich are willing to sell him for, he's a no-brainer. He's an absolute no-brainer. He controls the midfield. He's a ball-playing defensive midfielder, I would say, or central midfielder. He controls the game, controls the tempo of game, can do all the interceptions, the defensive work, the high-intensity work going forward. Like, he's perfect. Like, I don't see why we would not go after him. The only obstacle in terms of why I wouldn't see us going after him is the fact that he's 29 and Klopp's known for going for normally a 24-year-old, 23-year-old who's about to go into their prime. But at that
Who would he
price,
replace in the midfield?
we have to go. I think he would go alongside Fabinho, and you'd have probably a Naby in front of them.
Yeah, that's.
I think I would do a good job in there. I agree.
Yeah, I'm not. It's like because I'm just currently looking at his stats at the moment in terms of average over 90 minutes. You're looking at sort of total actions about 115 successful ones, and in terms of I guess the key ones for a midfielder, long passes, accuracy. He's making about 7.7 of those a game with a 75% accuracy. Dribbles, he's a very good dribbler as well, especially sort of the quick turns as well. Making about 4 dribbles a game, 64% success rate, which is. I don't know. It could potentially go down a bit in the Premier League, but also I guess aerial duels. That's not his thing. Interceptions. It's quite impressive. He's making about 4.5 interceptions per game.
So, in the Champions League final, his stats were the best in the midfield. So he made 85 passes, 7 recoveries,
Yep.
2 interceptions, 2 chances created. We know he did that pass in the midfield to Kimmich, who then helped create the goal.
Led to the goal, yeah.
So stuff like that. From watching him play, in the whole of Bundesliga in the 2019-20 season, obviously it's a different type of game, different style of football in there. But 91% of his passes completed over the whole season. I think we've got to get him. The other thing that I'm hearing though in terms of transfers is possibly Ronald Koeman wants Gini Wijnaldum for Barcelona.
I saw that, yeah.
So I have a feeling, and I tweeted this out, I have a feeling that there could be a possibility of a Gini to Barca, which helps release the position to bring Thiago in, possibly. Would I accept that, losing Gini to then get Thiago? Probably. They're both in the same age, and what Thiago can offer, even though Gini can, I feel like Naby can plug a lot of gaps in that midfield.
Plus,
in terms of creativity,
I love Gini, but I think Thiago is a lot.
You gotta
more
take
technical.
Thiago.
He's a lot more technical than Gini. And also, just to mention, if you are a Liverpool fan and you wanna hear everything Liverpool, follow Shihab at Talk Football SH1. And if you're a Man United fan and you want to hear everything Manchester United related, follow Adam Nabi at Talk Football N. And for all my fellow Gunners, you want to hear everything Arsenal related, follow me at Talk Football Tinashe. That's on Twitter. And also overall, if you're just a football fan in general and you want to hear everything top 6 related and the league as well, you can find us. You can find us rather at Talk Football. At Talk Footy with 2 Y's. That's at Talk Footy with 2 Y's. So getting back into, is there anyone else that you would? Obviously, apart from the Thiago that we've spoken about, I generally feel like in terms of his.
What about the goalkeeper? Are you happy with Adrian as number 2? Do the fans not hold him responsible for the Champions League exit?
As personally, I hold him a little bit responsible, but then, what can I say? He is a number 2. He seems to be doing all right. He just seems to have the odd mistake in. Problem is, our number 3 also has the odd mistake in him in Loris Karius. So
just to mention
is he still your number 3?
Yeah, I think he is, isn't he? Yeah.
He's come back in, so I think if he come back in, he'll come back in as a number 2 or 3.
I was just going to mention that on the
But he'll be gone.
on the Champions League exit. I hear you saying that you blame him for it, but in terms of the first mistake which led to the goal, there's a lot that your defense could have done to prevent the goal as well, but they just didn't.
Not
So
too much though. Like
no,
his kick out was awful, and it just like I think it caught our defense off guard because you wouldn't expect that to happen. So our defense weren't in a position ready to defend
what
that
kind of defense
situation.
isn't prepared for anything? Obviously, not including Arsenal's because we're never prepared for anything. But
Arsenal been social distancing all season, so you know.
well, you guys just won the league, so I guess to compare Arsenal to you guys, you're just fishing for compliments now. So, what would I guess that's how
I
I felt.
understand that defense could have helped. I understand that it wasn't a straight. The ball went straight in the net after his kick, but I think if we did have to blame anyone at that moment, it would have to be Adrian. Whether we just like actually sit there blaming him, probably not because we won the league and it's for kind of forgotten. And to be fair, that was probably one of our best games of the season, in my opinion. In terms of our performance for the first 90, probably
Wait,
95,
wait,
96 minutes.
let me get this right. Your two best performances were when you lost the City game and the
No,
Athletic
I
game.
just mentioned that the City game we played better than that 4-0 suggested. That's all I meant. In terms of performances, I thought I don't know if you guys watched it. Probably not.
Yeah,
But
I did.
because you're both Europa League. Oh, fair enough. I thought the first 95 minutes up until the Adrian era, should we call it, or Adrian / defensive era, I thought we were unreal. Just did everything right other than put the ball in the net.
It's just Thomas
And some of
Partey
that
kept your midfield
was
on lock.
finishing, and some
Even
I don't
Oblak
even
as
think
well.
it was
Oblak was
Partey. It was
inspired.
all Oblak.
He
It
was
was
inspired that
literally
game as well.
Oblak.
Yeah, I remember that game now. Actually, yeah, Oblak. But to be fair,
And it
Partey
annoys me like.
played some crucial parts. To be fair, I'm not saying
But
that it was
what
all
annoys
him.
me is that after the game, a lot of people was like, "Oh, Atletico Madrid just done you over. Atletico Madrid just followed their tactics perfectly." It wasn't. It was just Oblak was in the way. That's not a
It
tactical
is
masterclass. That's
you're
not a tactical
wait,
masterclass when
wait. But
Oblak is in the way.
the keeper is doing his job, right? So that's what Simeone would have expected. He would have laid out the tactics, absorb the pressure, and then counter. And everyone did
No,
their job.
he would want his team to absorb the pressure. Fair enough, but just
Which they
Oblak
did.
on his
Which
own
they
getting in
did.
the way of it. No, his Oblak
Did
got
his
in the way
job.
of everything.
Yeah. So,
It wasn't the team. Like it's not
but
like in normal situations. An Atletico Madrid masterclass is where the defense are getting every header, the midfielder stopping all the balls diving in. This was purely an Oblak performance. Purely Oblak.
Shiab's not having it. Well, to be fair, it might be Oblak was doing his job, wasn't he? He's a keeper,
Oh,
and
he was unreal. He was
he was
outstanding that
doing
game.
what Simeone would have expected him to do.
But
I do
I'm not
concede your
calling
point. I
that an
do concede your
Atletico
point.
Madrid masterclass.
I do concede your point that the midfield as well didn't do as well as they could have. But like I said earlier, I do think Partey did play some really nice parts in that game as well. Where coolly, calmly,
A player that
dribbling.
seems you probably won't be getting anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose that's a nice segue as well into Arsenal. Yeah. In terms of the ends at the moment, the ones that we're linked with, the ones I'm keen on. But like you're saying, in terms of how realistic, I'm not too sure. I think a lot of it depends, or a lot of it does depend on outgoings, to be honest. But Thomas Partey is one that I think a lot of Arsenal fans are extremely excited about and really want to happen. However, I think it was yesterday it started coming out, or I think I read somewhere. I think it was Arseblog that tweeted, that yeah, there's rumors that Arsenal are pulling out of the deal because yeah, they're not willing to pay that 50 million euros, sorry, for Thomas Partey, which if you look at it logically, 50 million euros for a 27-year-old, I can get it. But then when you look at what you're getting in terms of the player for that amount, that's where I'm a little bit, I'm not. I almost feel like it's a bargain, really, for Arsenal in that sense. In terms of just meet his release clause, £45 million, and then you've got a world class player, potentially. Or I do think he's a world class player. If I'm honest, to be honest, he's one of the best in his positions. So yeah, you've got a world class player, and I yeah, I think a lot will depend on whether AMN leaves and a few others. It could be one that will, like Tierney last season, where it just drags on the whole window before we see the conclusion of this. Because I think a lot of it does depend. Arsenal will want to see how they're sitting in terms of finances before they commit to that. And another one that we're linked in terms of coming in is, I don't actually know how to pronounce his name. Is the Leon lad, Owar? War?
Oh, our. Let's just apologies everyone for
Yeah,
his
apologies for the pronunciation. I actually don't know how to
pronounce it
pronounce
wrong.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. But him,
What's his first name?
it slips my mind. I think it starts with a H. But anyway, yeah, I'm personally, I have not seen much of him, so I can't say, oh, I'm overly excited. I'm really,
You
really
don't even know
keen.
his name.
Pardon? What? Do you know his first name?
No, I have
No.
no idea what you're talking about.
You know the Leon lad who plays midfield for Leon. I think number 8. His name is Arwa, but like I said, I don't know how to fully pronounce it. But yeah, for me, I'm a bit of a mixed bag. I've not seen, and obviously I've seen your typical YouTube videos, but I could make a YouTube compilation of myself, and then you think I'm amazing. So for me, I would say it's a little bit up in there. Everything that I'm seeing and reading so far, everyone is really, really keen for us to get him. His name is Hussein. That's his first name, Hussein R, yeah, like a pirate. Um, but yeah, in terms of
he's
his
young as well.
22, yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess you've got that over Partey, but then I think Leon are looking for quite a bit in terms of transfer for him as well. Close to 50
You know, on the
million
topic of
pounds.
Arsenal transfers,
Yeah,
apart from Tierney, when's the last time Arsenal were linked with someone that you actually knew about beforehand?
that is a good call.
probably Laka or
Well,
Aubameyang.
Oba. I'm trying to think who came in last year. I'm not gonna lie, Guendouzi, I had no idea who he was.
I think the rest you just putting the trust in the manager that they know and the
Well,
scouting that they know they've
we had
got a good
David
job.
Luiz we had David Luiz as well, yeah, last year, so we knew about him.
Yeah, probably best not to talk about that one.
Yeah, and yeah, we knew about David Luiz, but in terms,
Willian, obviously, you know about
well,
Willian,
that's this
another
season, yeah,
Chelsea sell-on.
yeah. Yeah, so there's quite a few. It's just like we have been sort of going that model in the sense of trying to find the hidden gem. Because in the sense of Matteo Guendouzi, for example, bought him from £8 million. Now, when we're selling him, I'm expecting much more than that. At least 25-30 million for
So
Matteo.
you definitely you want him sold.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna be. I guess I'm gonna put my neck out here. I'm 100. I trust Arteta 100%. I may question some of the decisions he makes, but in terms of his judgment on players, he hasn't given me a reason not to trust him. Put it that way. Everything he's done, I'm like, okay, I can see why. Because even with the whole Guendouzi thing, you're hearing whispers about, he's had these attitude issues since from way back when. Because I remember reading an article on the Athletic where I think it was Amy Lawson was pretty much talking about, even his friends were kind of sort of mentioning that he's got a bit of an attitude problem. So if that's the case, then yeah, I'm 100% all for it. Like I said, I'm 100% behind Arteta, and I trust him to make the right decisions. The other ones that I guess were linked on the way out. I don't know if you guys saw it. Hector
It
Bellerin.
was known about beforehand.
Sorry.
I'm just going to say, if it was well known beforehand, you don't think Arsenal should have taken that into consideration when they signed?
Yeah, you should. That is true, but then at the same time, I think it's one of those that looked at and thought, this is something that someone we could potentially tame. And I guess
To be
under
fair, Oba was meant to have attitude problems, and he's been great. So
yeah, I think Oba came with that more than Mateo, to be honest, because with Oba, like literally all the major outlets were reporting, oh, he's a bit of a party goer, he loves, he's flashy, he's this, he's that. But since he's been at Arsenal, he's been great. The fans love him. He's an absolute
Yeah,
fan
but
favorite.
Aubameyang had the reputation of a goal scorer behind him. Guendouzi was in the second division of the French league.
That's where
he's a
I'm.
very good young player. To be fair, like, and mentality aside and attitude aside, he's a very,
Yeah,
very good
but
young
I
player.
guess that's why I'm saying I trust Arteta. Like to the point where Naby's saying he, especially when you're hearing what happened against Bournemouth and not Bournemouth against Brighton, sorry, where he was talking to Neil Mope, talking about how much he earns, etc. Like those are the kind of things that if Aubameyang did, I don't think anyone would have batted an eye. But it's like in the game of football, Guendouzi hasn't done anything yet. Like what you're saying, Shihab. Sorry, Naby.
Yeah.
But Oba has got the reputation. He's a serial goal scorer. Mateo, yeah, nothing really. You know, like you said, second French, coming from the second division in France. That's about it. You haven't done anything within football for people to respect you like that. You know, so like I said, I fully back Arteta in terms of the calls he's making. Same with the Ozil one as well. Fully back him on that. Though I do kind of feel that if they're not going to play Ozil this season, why not just pay him out now? Because you're essentially just paying him out, but slower. So just give him the lump sum now, and then just tell him to go. You know, because that just avoids that whole saga.
Because
How
Arsenal
much
can't
are you
afford
putting
it.
on the how much are you putting on the club not being able to get rid of him, and how much on Ozil, not want to leave or
Uh,
being difficult in leaving?
what? This is gonna be a bit of a long answer. I'll try and shorten it. So I mainly put it on Ozil, I think. No, sorry. On the club, because the club initially made the mistake of offering him that huge contract. Because even if you look at his stats just before they offered him the contract, it's not like he was a world beater. It wasn't as poor as he is now, but it wasn't enough to justify £350,000 a week. But as a fan base at that time as well in January, we were Sanchez was going to United, and then if we lost Ozil in the same month as well, there would have been people
It was
outside the Emirates.
desperation,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
essentially. So that's the initial mistake, the fact that we allowed it to get to that stage. And then the club ended up having to rush to try and sort of rectify that. And I kind of feel a little bit for the guys who are in power at the moment because, in terms of Vinay, this was done, this sort of predates him. You know, so he came into this
Yeah.
situation and there's nothing he can do. You know, you can't force Ozil out because he's still under contract. But the only thing is, I'll put a little bit on Ozil as well because it's like he keeps on talking about I'm happy in Arsenal, I'm happy in London, etc., etc. You're a football player first and foremost. You're not playing football, so how can you be happy? I get it. You're earning 350k a week. Anyone would be happy earning that, right? But you're a football player first and foremost, and you're not playing football, but you're still going around saying, "Oh, I'm really happy." So largely, I will blame the club, but a little bit has to go on also as well. Because as a professional, like for example, Sanchez, he wasn't getting game time at United. He went to Inter, regardless of how much he was getting at United. And people like to make comparisons between Ozil and the Bale situation. I would argue that the Bale situation is slightly different because Bale actually went to China last year and Real Madrid pulled out the deal. So, yeah. Yeah, in terms of the Ozil one, it's a saga I'm getting bored of. I would rather just not go through it again this season. That's why I'm saying if I get your point, £18 million a year, it'll be a lot to pay out in one go, but they're doing it slowly every week anyway, so might as well.
But they can't afford to pay him out 80 million in one go.
Yeah, I guess that'll be the issue. But it's frustrating. Put it that way. It's frustrating and it's boring. It's gotten to that stage now. There's nothing new to say about the Ozil situation. Everything.
The biggest thing at Arsenal, I guess, is the Maitland Niles one right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an
Personally,
outgoing.
you know my feelings. Personally, I don't want him to go. I would rather Hector go than man. But strangely,
Oh,
we've had
really?
yeah, because that's the thing. Because if you look at them in terms of, I guess, athletes as well, um, I feel AMN, even though I would say probably when fully fit, sorry, Bellerin is a lot quicker. Will be quicker, sorry, than AMN, but AMN is a lot more powerful than Bellerin, and he's a lot more comfortable on the ball as well. Because Arteta likes to occasionally play with an inverted right back, like what you see Walker doing at City, and yeah, like I said, Airman is a lot more comfortable on the ball with that. Can turn in. Yeah, he's a lot tidier on the ball, quite skillful as well. Whereas with Bellerin, he almost. I feel like Pepe suffers when Bellerin doesn't play. So yeah, but
Unfortunately, it looks like a Maitland Niles is going to move with Doherty moving out as well.
yeah, that
So it looks
looks.
like that move might happen.
Yeah, that looks like that could potentially be. But if it goes, I'm happy with if AMN does go, but like I said to you earlier or before we went on, I want a healthy fee for him. I don't want it to just be because I saw that the bid was around 15 million. I was like, that's ridiculous. We're not selling. For me personally, like I said, I think in our group chat that at least 25 in and around that mark. I think 20 I could settle for. But yeah, so that actually brings us to the end of our first episode. Well done, guys. We had a few technical issues. I think people dropping in and out, myself included, but we managed through it. Yeah, and once again, guys, please follow us. You can catch me myself Tinashe at Talk Football T on Twitter, and you can catch the main page at Talk Footy with two Y's. That's at Talk Footy with two Y's. And I'll let the other guys give their socials.
You find me at Talk Football Shabs, which is at Talk Football SH1. So yeah, please give me a follow and give us all a follow.
For everything Liverpool related, follow that man.
Yeah.
Yes, and any banter on Manchester United,
United
such
stuff
as
and
Maguire's jail
sensible stuff
sentence.
and sensible stuff,
Yeah,
which
and
was
Very sensible
nullified.
stuff.
But
yeah, you can
anyway,
find.
at Talk Football N, so you find the good stuff.
So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Until next time,